But kids these days, they just be on their phone.
Kids these days be on their phone.
Is it better or worse? It's worse.
It's worse.
It's worse.
Hey, we made it. We're old now.
No, I need to say this because I knew one day this would happen. I have always been like this. I've always thought that it was bad now. So did everyone. Is there a lot of stuff that's horrible about the past? It really, really was bad back then in a lot of ways. But is culture going down the drain? Yes, we are not improving right now. We're not in
a positive direction.
We are not at an upward trajectory here in 2024. We haven't been for a while. I was watching The Big Fix. It's a 77 movie with Richard Dreyfuss, and he plays like this sort of communist ex-lawyer who kind of quits law school to be a hippie and then has to be a PI because his wife divorces him. And it's just sort of like
wait, as one does.
Yeah. It's like a 70s noir. It's just very 70s take on 40s and 50s detective stuff. And I was watching the movie, and every single fucking scene I was like, now this is a fucking movie.
Yeah.
They used to act.
I know.
They used to have actors who acted.
Oh my god.
It's kind of surprising
movies used to be about stuff.
It's kind of surprising.
Do you know about this?
You haven't seen a movie from the 70s in a while.
Yeah, I should really watch one.
You watch a movie from the 70s and you're like, oh yeah, acting used to be something.
Yeah. It is funny. It's like, and when people tell the story of the rise of and popularity of Star Wars, it sounds so positive when people are like, oh yeah, it's like all the movies were dark and heavy and about people with problems, and everyone was really ready for a fantasy movie you could just kick back and enjoy or whatever. But it is funny, you look back on it, they were kind of talking about the death of stories with death.
Hey, I call that a misreading of Star Wars. That's not an accurate reading of Star Wars. That is a movie about space Nazis who are ruining the galaxy, and as an allegory for U.S. empire.
It's an easy watch.
It's an easy watch.
Goes down smooth.
It's not George Lucas's fault that we have a country full of idiots who don't know how to understand movies.
It's true.
That his movie was so good that a bunch of 8-year-olds fell in love with how it looked, but not what it meant. And you can see it today when people are like, get politics out of Star Wars. And it's like,
God.
Do you have a gum between your ears? Do you have a brain in your skull?
There's literally a scene
moron?
about dissolving Republic control in the galaxy.
Do I think that, Princess Leia is the most, sophisticated, female character in media? Literally, yes. No. But how did we go from a movie where one of the main characters was a cool revolutionary leader who was showing up kind of chauvinist dickbag Han Solo. And now, if there's a woman in a Star Wars trailer, people are frothing at the mouth, lunatics. Why is there a woman in space?
I know.
This is what we were talking about this off screen. It's people's brains literally do not have access to their own opinions about things.
Yeah, I wouldn't. This is how you phrase it. I'm not sure I would say they don't have access to their own opinions. I think it's their brains change, and they literally no longer have access to the reasonable things they used to think.
I think that opinion, that ability to have a real opinion about something is in there somewhere. And that's the tragedy of it to me, is that it's lost beneath the gunk of culture and being a weird cog in society's ears.
It's such a weird, ironic tragedy that the people who most cannot get over the idea of Wait, what the hell? What the? I had a whole thought I was literally just putting into words and expressing with my voice, and it just jumped right out of my fucking
What
head.
I said was that, they're busy being a weird cog in society's gear so that they don't have access to their own, opinions about things. Like, they just believe incongruous things because they can't separate their need to, fulfill a societal role.
Their need to complain about something.
Yeah, their need to fulfill a societal role with the fact that they actually don't even believe what they're saying.
It's so weird and ironic that it is these people who are most loudly complaining about the idea of politics ruining art when
it's their politics.
They are literally the ones making all the political complaints.
Yeah. And all of the art that they're producing is ruined by their own horrible politics.
Or I think a lot of times with art criticism, especially with movies and stuff, I know kids in my high school film class expressed this at the end of the year, was like, damn it, now that I know about how to watch a movie, I'm never going to be able to watch a movie the same way again.
Yeah.
And I think it's these people, it's they so desperately want this magical time when movies weren't full of politics, when in reality, it was just they were watching it without politics in their mind.
Right.
And they no longer can.
Yeah.
And they're convinced someone else did this to them.
Yeah. This is sort of I think the issue behind 15 years of discourse about the Star Wars prequels, where it's just you didn't like it because you didn't understand why the things that were happening were happening.
It could have been better.
Some of the things about them could have been better, but I think we sort of erased the reality that people talked about these movies like they were the worst movies of all time. Yeah. And not only is that not true,
I think I think it's part of our current cultural narrative that they're having a new moment and that people are reevaluating.
It is, and I tweeted about this the other day because I'm sick of the reevaluation of them because this reevaluation has not come with an understanding. People like them for what they thought they were, not for what they actually are. So you actually just have a further dumbing down. You have the dumbing down of people so much that they can't understand what these movies are doing, and then a further dumbing down where it's just every other. And this is actually a point that I made 10 fucking years ago on Run Button, where you might remember me complaining about Marvel movies, where I'm like, people talk about the Star Wars prequels like they're the worst movies.
You might remember me from such things as complaining about the Marvel movies, complaining about the...
Thank you. Complaining about the Marvel movies being people talked about the Star Wars prequels like they were the worst movies of all time, when the Marvel movies that are the most popular movies right now are worse. They're worse movies.
Well, they're also not the most popular anymore, finally.
Well, no, but again, this is something that I was saying 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I think that what's happened is people have looked back and finally kind of realized this. The movies that we've watched the last 12 years aren't any better for this. They're used to the slop, and so they look at the Star Wars prequels and they're like, this is okay. Not because they've got a better understanding of what was happening with those movies, but because they've lowered
their standards. And this is my ultimate yardstick for that Hollywood has really, really gone down the drain.
Yeah.
Is that even our grandmother won't watch movies anymore. She used to go to one or more movies a week, and she used to be one of those people who would judge the quality of a movie based on how little talking there were and how many explosions there were. And when even she is boy, there's no good movies anymore, things have gotten bad.
Well, they don't even, this is the thing, the first thing that died was the 70s style sort of political, not thriller, political intrigue drama, you know what I mean? Then the second thing was the comedy. Shockingly, people don't like to laugh anymore. It's the only good thing that a movie... It's the only positive emotion that a movie can give you, besides, I don't know, a thrill, I guess.
There's catharsis.
But you can only get catharsis after injuring you.
Right.
The movie has to injure you before it can give you catharsis.
Yeah, I mean...
And then the next thing to die was the action movie, because they just kind of both got swallowed up by the Marvel thing, where it's just why would we need comedies? We have Marvel movies that are slightly funny, and they're also kind of action movies, so we don't need those either. Anyway, the The thing that's so funny about The Big Fix, which I do recommend, go watch The Big Fix.
What
I thought
is
it was really fun.
It's the Big Fix.
It's the Richard Dreyfuss movie where he's like a communist private detective. This was like a movie that when it was released was like okay. People were like, yeah, this is like a total B- movie. And by the standards of 2024, it's like, whoa! It's so good. Right. It's so much better than anything that I've seen. At least from a major production studio.
It is incredible how, if you just go look at like the top grossing movies from like any year in the 90s, it's shocking the extent to which like sometimes the second or third highest grossing movie of the year was just like an adult drama where like something happened to someone in their 40s, you know, and they dealt with it.
Yeah.
And now it's just like this stuff like doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
It
exists. It exists in a different way. They're not the top grossing movies. They're
they do hardly
exist because independent movies also. Do you know what the?
Well, I guess it's more. It's
Did you see that?
Yeah,
crazy
bullshit,
stupid.
It was. I remember now. Like this thing I'm basically talking about is like been brought up on a podcast I listen to or whatever. And the thing that they will harp on is not just hey, look, people were making these movies, but it's like people were seeing these movies. It's like this is just. Some dramatic thing happens to a 45-year-old, and it's the second top, grossing movie of the year. And now people don't see movies like that anymore.
These movies are harder to find. They're lower budget. Yeah. They're limited release sometimes. They cost less money, and they make less money. They are out there. At the top end of it is like A24. People kind of think of A24, I think, sometimes as like, what is that? It's a production studio that has put out a bunch of like critically acclaimed, kind of slightly artsy, medium blockbusters, or at least relative. Their biggest thing is that last year they put out Everything Ever All at Once. That was
so they do multiverse timeline movies. This is their
that's
niche?
Their only one. No. They do a lot of like
and the multiverse is very big right now.
They do a lot of like thinky horror kind of stuff.
Sure.
They do a lot of like character drama stuff. They did The Green Knight a few years ago with Dev Patel. Did you see? I don't know if you saw that or heard of it.
I did not, but I heard it's crazy.
So people think of them as a small studio, but as far as this kind of older kind of movie goes, it's as big as you're gonna get,
right?
Realistically. But which is funny, like it's hard to even find the movies. Like, I don't have a ton of time to sink into like figuring out what fucking movies are good these days. It's because it's so hard. So I just don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the movies are. I don't know where they are or how to find them. Did you ever see? I brought this up before. I mentioned it. Just thinking of movies that I accidentally learned about that were really good.
Thought I had him.
But Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes. I couldn't think of the first word.
No.
It's from 4 years ago. It's a micro-budget sci-fi movie that I think you'd really like.
I know all about this movie.
Yeah, because I told you about it 2 months ago. Hence, I have some insight on this as someone with family in the WGA. There are tons of scripts and comedy being made. Very, very few get picked up. Very, very few get picked up without having some big name attached to it. Yeah, this is of course, writers don't stop wanting to be funny.
Yeah. We never thought people didn't want to write
there's
comedies.
Stacks and stacks of comedy scripts.
And
again, it's
Dead
hard
Pilot Society doesn't exist for nothing.
Yeah. Does that still exist, by the way?
I don't know. I fell off of it, but I assume it's maybe. It might have been one of those things where because of the material slowed down, they slowed down the release of it or something. Maybe it's a few times a year now.
But that's the thing, writers are still writing. That's the crazy part. Nobody ever stopped writers from writing. Those people are crazy.
Yeah. And also about the don't know. I was gonna say about the adult drama thing, like maybe that's peak television now, or prestige TV.
Prestige TV sucks shit. Fuck you, Prestige TV.
It's all right.
It's not all right. It's bad. All of those shows are bad. Sorry to Better Call Saul, the one that I probably think is good.
She-Hulk.
Yes, even She-Hulk. Sorry to Tatiana Maslany.
Wow, good pull.
Thank you. She's on Comedy Bang Bang sometimes. That's why I know that.
Sure.
I'm right.
I
That's who it
didn't
is,
know
right? Okay.
I have
I'm
no
like
idea.
85% sure.
I only watched 1.5 episodes of that show.
Do you know what's a real tragedy?
Romeo and Juliet?
Romeo and Juliet
Oedipus?
is a real star-crossed, some say. When we were younger, we loved Kevin Smith.
Sure.
And along with Kevin Smith and his movies that I think for a long time I thought would hold nothing for me as an adult, and then I rewatched Clerks and I was like, this actually still is great.
Yeah.
With Kevin Smith came a promise that this is the kind of filmmaker that can exist.
Yeah.
A guy who gets 30 grand, makes a funny movie, and then makes a small to medium successful career
Yeah, I think
out of that.
that became like YouTube stars, I think. Right?
I sort of maybe, but what the fuck YouTube video is as good as Clerks?
No, I mean, that's the thing is like...
Right, they funneled those people away from real success
because
of
those,
YouTube.
Yeah, because they're like making YouTube videos, it can't really have the same impact as like a feature film. Even if it's, the only reason is because no one's going to watch a feature-length YouTube video.
Sorry to that guy.
I get, whatever. I don't know.
Sorry to that guy with the gray hair that you like.
Oh, Dan Olsen.
No, I don't know. No, David. He had the video with the bears that SNL stole. What the fuck is it? With the Charmin bears? David. It's like last name begins with an H. He stopped. He made funny YouTube videos, and then he stopped in order to make like 5 or 6 feature films in 1 year or something.
I don't think this is a guy I know.
You
about.
absolutely know who this guy is. Totally 100%. If anybody knows the YouTuber who's like, I'm going to make like one movie every month or one movie every season, he's friends with Dax Flame from Project X.
Never heard of any of these people. Don't put this on me.
Oh my god, you absolutely know who this is. I'm going to say the name. I'm going to go to Dax Flame's IMDb. And
Dax Flame. I'm gonna know somebody who works with someone named Dax Flame. That's what you're telling me.
Clairvoyant Vibrations. Oh, the guy who does like weird rotoscope animation? Yeah, that guy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You do know who this is. You absolutely know who this is.
Oh, okay. Sorry, rotoscope animation. Yeah,
You do know who this is. I guarantee it. It's okay.
Wait,
It's okay.
You think
I'll
that guy
figure it
has gray hair?
Yeah, he does. Joel Haver.
Okay.
You know that? You know who I'm talking about?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not David.
I said I think David, and his last name begins with an H. And he does absolutely have gray hair, by the way.
Okay. But okay, his hair is grayish. Like, it's definitely on its way there, but you wouldn't just call him the guy with the gray hair. Especially not when you're calling him David and his name's Joel.
You
called him David!
I said I think his name was David. I clearly was not, but come on, Joel is so fucking off from David.
You're right, I really should have gotten Joel from David.
And it had
I'm
a
sorry.
V in it like David does.
Wow.
Is it Haver or Haver?
Haver.
So, but you doubted that you would know who this was. And I just want it known, you absolutely know who Joel
All
Haver
right,
is.
I guess, but it's just like, I don't know, the way you fucking put it, Keith is so, in case anyone hasn't noticed in the last 12 years, Keith is extremely judgmental towards what media other people like. And so the way you said it, like, that guy you like, I'm just like, well, you immediately put me in an extremely defensive mode.
I just know him as a YouTuber that you watch. I have nothing wrong with Joel Haver.
Well, apparently I don't watch him because he doesn't make videos because he's trying to make movies.
No, he's releasing them all on YouTube. He was like, I'm done making so many videos.
Sure.
I want to make movies. I'm going to release them all for free on YouTube. 3 weeks ago, he released a 2.5-hour-long movie. 3 months ago, he released an hour-long movie. 4 months ago, he released an hour-and-a-half-long movie. 5 months ago,
It's
he
like
released
one of these people that like makes a video game a month.
Yes, it's like that. Yeah, I don't remember what his rules were, but I did watch the thing about that he was going to make all of these movies, and I guess he's been doing it because he's released 4.
Okay. Well, clearly I don't watch him because I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
But you do. You definitely.
I have.
There was a week where
Yeah,
Kyle sent me,
there was a week where I like watched all his videos.
Right, and and in that week, Kyle sent me like 5 of those videos.
Oh, they were
to
funny.
watch.
They were funny videos.
And so
You can do.
my only understanding of Joel Haver was this is the guy that Kyle sometimes sends me videos of, which means they must watch him.
Whatever. Stick it in your ear and blow it out your nose.
And to the point of me being judgmental about the media that other people consume, all I've got to say is fucking watch out. You better not be liking dog shit then.